I've always believed that love is not found, is built. I didn't know that I loved her at the time, but I know that I was going to get to that point because she had what, I was looking for at the time, right? She wanted to be with me. And of course, you go through that 6 months, 9 months, a year, whatever time it takes to understand, is this person willing to put in the work to
Mm.
be with me? And that's what builds the love, right? Because you can't know how to love somebody if you haven't been with that person long enough to actually learn how to love that person.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my comfy couch. It's me, Nikki, your host again. And today we have Levi on. Say hi, Levi.
Hi guys.
If y'all remember, Levi was on our series about what it's really like to be married, right? From the male panel.
Yeah, it's very interesting the first time around.
Yeah. So it wasn't a hard sell. Like, he's like, okay, yeah, I'll be back. And as you see, we're doing this series about how I knew she was the one. So if you guys remember, Levi was on there speaking about his wife. How long have you been married, Levi?
This year is 12 years in June. Next
12.
year,
Okay, perfect.
coming on 13.
It's perfect because I had someone who just got married. I had someone who's been married for 30 years, and now I got you in the middle with the 12. So it's good
Oh,
to
wow.
yeah, right? So get a good, well-rounded kind of panel here to hear from the different men. So tell me, Levi, as I ask all these men, how did you know? What's her name, by the way? Can we say her name?
Terri. Terri's my
Carrie.
wife.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did you know? How did you meet Carrie? First off, let's say that. Let's start with that.
I met Terri the same way all Christians meet them in church in some proverbial, you know, event. It was her father's having a crusade in the Bronx, and I think I played at the service or something like that. Um, she slid in my DM, I guess, not literally, but she reached out to one of my cousins, and she was just saying, I think we should probably get up. And then I was just like, there's no way that's what she said. My cousin sometimes he's makes things up, and I reached out to her not on some because I didn't know what actually happened. I was like, hey, I think we should probably meet up, talk about stuff for the crusade or whatever, or maybe go out. And then she was just bold. She was like, That's not what I said."
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but I mean, she was straightforward. She was a straight shooter. She said, I think I like you. I think we should go out, which is very different, but you know,
Oh
that's
my
how it
God.
started.
Oh, so I love that. So she was the one who took initiative and was like, I like what I see. Let me reach out and try to make something work. Is that how it happened?
That's exactly how it happened. I really just didn't think at the time that she would give me the time of day. It's not because I didn't like her or anything. I just never considered it because she was older. She was a pastor's daughter. She was more serious. I was not there. Of course, she was beautiful
Oh,
at the time. I all these things, but I just like, ain't no way. That's what she said. It can't be. So I'm treading softly, and she was just like, nope, no, no. That's not what I said.
wow. Okay. I love it. Okay, so tell me what happened after that. You guys went out and
Yeah, so we went out a few times.
Mhm.
I think our first date, I remember we went to Uno's, and from there, I think we were dating maybe about a month. Um, and then we had our first kiss, I remember, and then she was like, "Well, what is this? What are we doing?" And I'm just like, "What do you mean? What are we doing? We're dating, we're having fun." And she's like, "Okay, cool. Well, that's not really what I'm looking for."
Mm.
And I was just like, wow, that's different. So I tried to give it an old, well, I'm young. I was 19, 20 at the time. I'm not
Mhm.
looking for a steady relationship or anything of the sort. And she was like, yeah, of course. I agree 100%, but that's not what I'm looking for.
Mm.
And she was serious about it. I mean, obviously the night I didn't think she was serious. I was like, yeah, whatever, she'll be back. And she was going. I was like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. That's That's not what I meant, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, and then we spoke about it. We went, and I was just like, no, this is different. This is really intriguing. So, we started dating exclusively, and then we dated for about 3 years, and then got married. I was
Wow.
23 at the time. She was 26.
Okay, now I like you keep saying that this was different. How was she different from the other women?
So I think I made a joke. I think I was telling her I was going to be on this podcast yesterday, and then she told me. So she asked me the question. How did you know I was the one? And I made a joke, but then I thought about it, and I was like, "There's truth in that. That was really true. I didn't know she was the one. She told me that. You
Ooh,
understand?"
come on
But
now.
she was like, "Don't ever say that in public." And I'm just like, "Well, before you cast any aspersions, she told me that, but she made a very good case of it, right? And I think a lot of people don't. My advice to a lot of couples or people who are looking, right, is like who likes you, right? And a lot of people don't actually like people who tell them that they're the one, right? They're in relationship with people who actually told them the opposite, and they're still in a relationship. So it's not necessarily a bad thing because your partner should tell you that they're the one, right? And I
Mm.
mean, obviously, not she didn't say, I'm the one. You need to marry me right now, you know. But she definitely told me that she was the one, right? When
Mm.
she made her hardline stance that, hey, this is what I'm looking for. I really like you. I think this is something I want to explore. I want to be intentional about dating, right? I want to be the one. I don't want to be the one of many, the one of 10. I want to be the one. That's in my interpretation loosely. That's what I thought was very different because she literally told me she wanted to be the one person that I give all my attention to, the one person that I now start taking these active steps to build a relationship with, the one person that we could start trajecting a life together, start really seeing and parsing out if this is something that we want to spend another 6 months, 9 months, whatever, deciding if this could be something that could be lasting. That's what I
Oh,
thought was very different.
so she was direct and, told you what she wanted. And she was serious about it because you said she actually left. Like, how long after she left were you like, oh my God, I was just joking? Like, did you try to wait it
Uh,
out?
Yeah, well, I mean, waited out. It was like a week, you know, but she was serious. She was just, cold turkey. Stop calling, don't text, no nothing. If
Ooh,
you know,
you know, I've heard that before. Like people say, like if you love him, leave him, right? While you still love him. But it's so hard I think like a good 80-90% of women cannot do that. Like we cannot walk away from a guy that we really, really are feeling like that and just go cold turkey. Don't call him, don't communicate at all. Like that is so hard. But I really feel like if we are serious enough and we do that, not joking, not just to get attention, but like really serious about our standards, I think we get better results sometimes. So I like that. Go ahead. What are you saying, Levi?
well, I was just gonna say you have to love yourself enough to know that you're worth it, right? I think it's also not a game of leaving him so he could come back.
Right.
I, I've always told my friends one thing I don't do is play the game when my feelings are really vested, right? I don't play those games. If I'm seriously interested in this relationship, and it's not just my wife, it's my best friend. Like those relationships I hold very different to the relationships that are situational, right? So I have my relationship with my basketball friends, my musician friends, my business friends. Those I could kind of really masquerade as a different person for that time, or it's just really, for that segment of my life. But the relationships that span across everything, I don't play the game of, well, if you love her or him and you leave them and it's truly, what's meant to be, they'll come back. I don't think so. You need to really understand, well, if I stay in this relationship and he does not love me back or she does not love me back, I'm really hurting myself. So I truly have to leave if it's not worth it. And if it's worth it, then I'm not playing the games to try to get them to circle back. I'm telling them how I feel, letting it be known this is what I want, but I will not stay if I cannot get what I want. Right?
Love it. So many lessons here in this story so far. I love it. So let's talk about love, because I've heard a gentleman say before that I like to watch that he didn't really love his wife till like he was married for like a good 2 years. He feels like, he really liked her and stuff, but that love, like feeling like I would die for her, type thing, like men don't really get that until after a while, like, as different things start happening and the woman is there and those kinds of things, that the love part really comes. Like, do you feel like in that early on stage, like you said, when she left and walk away, do you think you loved her at that point? Because it seems like she was the one kind of asserting herself, and you were like, okay, well, like who likes you, of course, if they're right for you. But do you feel like people are too caught up on this feeling of I'm supposed to love them so much? So because I don't feel that for the person, then maybe they're not the one for me. You get what I'm saying?
Sure. I think another thing really about me, I'm always been very intentional from young. I don't have the conventional understanding of love because if you really look at this new era of how we've been choosing mates and spouses and all that stuff, even though it's a very uh, watered down version of what probably was there 2000, 3,000 years ago, it's only been recent where we've really had the opportunity to choose, right? So we go through this endless cycle of qualifiers. I didn't love her at that point, and I don't even know if I loved her enough 6 months, a year after that. But what I did know is I chose her, right? And what I've always believed, 10 years down the line, I didn't want to look back and say I'm living the life that I settled for, right? I wanted to live the life that I chose. So I've always believed that love is not found, it's built.
Mm,
I was listening to this story. I don't know how true it is. It just makes sense to me. Everybody could research, but he was saying essentially that the Commission people, right, the ancient people from Kemet, that at the time there was no writing, but how history was transcribed was through hieroglyphs, right? And their hieroglyph for love was a plow. And it's only through the annexing of Greek mythology, right, when things were becoming a lot more poetic and all these type of things, that it was really translated to the symbol for love to be a heart, right? And essentially, the understanding came that originally what the rooted in love was, cultivating the person that you were with. The,
mm,
the point of actually being in a relationship was not just because it was busting out of my soul and all this emotion, right? That's what it became, because it became more of a show, more of something that you could write in poetry and the expression of love, as opposed to the duty of love, right? Because people just don't like the duty itself of anything. That's why success is such an aberration. Success is
mhm,
less about being motivated to do anything, right? It's really about the discipline to do that thing,
mhm.
which means you got to do it when you don't want to do it. So,
Exactly.
tying back the long story into knowing that I loved her at the time, no, I didn't know that I loved her at the time, but I know that I was going to get to that point because she had what, I was looking for at the time, right? She wanted to be with me. And of course, you go through that 6 months, 9 months, a year, whatever time it takes to understand, is this person willing to put in the work to
Mm,
be with me? And that's what builds the love, right? Because you can't know how to love somebody if you haven't been with that person long enough to actually learn how to love that person. And once you do, then you really understand, well, now we're in love because you know how to love me and I know how to love you. So I think the overall point I wanted to bring across is I built my relationship to love. I didn't
mhm.
find it in her, right?
Ooh, boy, Levi, I'm loving this. Wow, that's deep. So y'all watching, pay attention. Listen, Levi, was there at any point where you felt like, oh, maybe I might not have made the right decision? Like, did you kind of second guess yourself if she was the one at any point in your relationship?
Um, I don't think I have, but I remember I was just telling a friend of mine, unfortunately, they were having some issues in their relationship, and he was giving me a recount of what happened. And, you know, he was saying that he doesn't know if he made the right choice, and they were married for a short time. And I was going back and I told him, I remember 9 months into our marriage, my wife turned over and she looked at me and she said, "You think we made the right choice?" You know? And I was just like, wow, that's how a lot of people get married so, you know, short into their relationship. And I had to sit her down. I'm like, why do you think we didn't make the right choice? You know, why do you think that we made a mistake? And she's telling me, we argue all the time. We're going through all these transitions at the time. It's been a year. And I'm like, what are we arguing about? We're arguing about what it takes to live with each other, to make each other happy. We don't know how to do that yet. So we're going to be going back and forth until the synergy gets to a point where I don't need to argue with you to tell you how to love,
Mm,
right? Because we're not arguing about anything significant, right? We're arguing about, hey, if I ask you to do this, why do you take 5 hours to do it as opposed to do it right now, right? We're arguing about, if I tell you, I want you to show up at this place, it's because I really want you to be there. Well, I didn't know if that's something that you're passionate about. I figured that it's something I could say no to. All right, now noted. I can't say no to this, but I could say no to that. So we're not arguing about anything that's substantive. We're arguing about the little things because you're gonna go through a period, and I think that's been true of every relationship that I know, of going back and forth to see the things that if you push really hard, is this person going to change? And then there's some things that you're going to keep pushing and you're going to come to understand that they're never going to change. And the quicker you find a balance between, okay, I'm going to hold on to these things that I see progress that's going to change, and I'm going to keep pushing. And these things that I know she's not going to change or he's not going to change, I'll just drop it. I was just talking to her yesterday. I think it's probably been yeah, I don't even know, want to say knock on wood. I don't know what that means, but thank God. It's probably been 8 years since we've had a real good, argument.
wow. Wow, Levi, wow.
We just found out early the things that, because most couples, I mean, outside of, thankfully, we haven't had major issues, but most couples, you're arguing over small things. And the sooner you find out, hey, listen, if this is a problem for her, just apologize really quickly. A lot of times you have to say you're sorry when you ain't. And that's okay. I mean, the
What?
point the point is not to be right. The point is to move on. That's my
Mm,
philosophy.
mm.
I could care less about being right if what it does is actually take away from us making progress. And I think my wife is, she's reasonable enough that even if I was right and I concede, later on she'll come back and say, you know what, you were right. I think I'm learning to be that. I'm not quite there yet, but she's also adopted that same philosophy that she would concede if it's becoming problematic. She's less concerned about being right, but more being productive, right?
Wow. Whew. Great discussion, Levi. Great discussion. So, if you did want to give single men who are interested in marriage minded, do you have any advice for them, like in terms of selecting a partner or anything in that whole realm? If you had some words of advice for them.
Make a choice. Make a choice. I think that's men's problem. Men's problem. I think I said the last time.
Hmm.
Men have a problem making a choice, and women have a problem with their choice. Right?
Mm,
Women are easier to decide, right? And then go on and make it work or fight for it, whatever the case is. Men, because we're the choosers when it comes to actual, commitment, right? So when you're playing around, women have the choice. They could pick any man in a room and decide, well, we're going to go have a good time. But when it comes to commitment, the choice actually, the pendulum swings. So it's now the man, right? So he has the opportunity to choose who he's going to commit to. And I think men, we now play this game of endless qualifiers, right? Well, if you have to qualify the person, you know, in totality before you decide to commit to them or choose, well, you're never going to get there. And what you're going to actually get into is, you know, the paralysis of choice, right? Two things could happen. You have so many choices and you start comparing women to, you know, to each other and all that type of stuff. What you actually get is paralysis. You make no choice, right? Because you have so many things coming at you. You try this, oh, she has this, but she doesn't have what she has. And you have all these things. So then you end up just not choosing, right? And you know, you engage in as many as you can. Or the second thing that could happen is, even if you do end up making a choice, you're less fulfilled with the choice that you made, because now you have FOMO, right? The fear of missing out, because you're comparing her to everything else. You're less fulfilled with the choice that you made, even if the choice that you made is a good choice.
So you're telling men, just choose, choose and be confident in your choice and rock with it, make it work.
Sure. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not, because I'm cavalierly saying it, I'm not just saying, you know, obviously there's different things that create synergy in a relationship. Like some men, for them, right, you have certain certain characteristics in a woman that really make you personally happy, right? You figure those things out, but you have to understand and know these things. And once you find those basic necessities, then you work on the rest. Nobody's perfect. You're not gonna get there. And I tell people all the time, everybody wants to be with somebody who upgrades them. Really? So that means one person is going to be downgraded.
Exactly. Or remain the same, you know?
Yeah, but if I have to be with a woman who upgrades me, then I'm gonna have to upgrade that woman too. Well, they both can't happen at the same time, technically.
Exactly.
Right. So I think it's just you need to work with somebody, choose that person early, because the longer you wait, you're gonna end up eventually settling. That's just my own conjecture. I'm not sure that this has been proven, but I just feel like people who choose early have a better shape.
So you don't regret that you got married like young?
Oh no, definitely.
Okay.
I don't regret my relationship. Definitely. I mean, there's some things I wish I had accomplished that probably I couldn't have done because I was married. But if you were to ask me to choose between that and marriage, it's not even a question.
Awesome.
You know, so.
Well, Levi, thank you again. Like, you spit knowledge. I loved having you last time. Loved you in this session. Very, very knowledgeable. Thank you for agreeing to be on the show and helping out these brothers looking for their misses.
Yeah, I'm not.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just sharing my experience. Hopefully, it's, you know, valuable to somebody.
Absolutely, it is. So thank you guys again, and let me know if you guys are liking these videos that we post. Okay, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and if you're interested in being on the show, let us know. And we're gonna sign off. I'll see you next time on My Comfy Couch. Doodles.